Hey, everybody, welcome to the Supernatural Beer Bros podcast. I'm your host, Andy, and I'm joined today by Ben down San Diego Way with the Legoland Chinese Dragon.
Sure.
How you doing today, Ben?
Good. Nice cool day down my way, so can't complain.
Yeah, fucking 90 some degrees up here. Terrible.
See, I don't understand how there are fat people in such hot weather. I really don't. Like, you
I
think
can't I can't deal with hot weather.
you think
Which,
oh well yeah we're New Englanders. This isn't natural
yeah, I don't know why we're in Southern California, but
because we're with women who don't understand that there's life outside of this place.
is your wife from here?
Yep,
Yep, mine too. Problem.
that's her only flaw is that she's from here.
She's not a liberal, is she?
Nope, thank God no.
Oh, God.
You are hairy like animal.
If she was a liberal, that'd probably be you.
You are hairy like animal.
That'd be you saying that to her if she was a liberal.
I don't quite have that vocal range, that higher octave.
Well, you know.
You are Harry. Well, maybe I do. I don't know.
All right, so our topic for today is the national parks and the people who go missing within.
I mean, some of those parks are pretty big, so it's not hard to see some hipster tourists getting lost at Yellowstone.
Yeah, but the ones we're going over are the more mysterious types.
Why doesn't my soy latte have Wi-Fi so I can give out an SOS?
Wait, soy latte. Oh, goodness. What do I got for that one?
You are gay.
That's fair. I accept the outcome. But presumably these are mysterious disappearances, unexplainable disappearances.
They are indeed. There are literally thousands of stories of not only people just vanishing with no trace, no tracks, no clothes, no blood, nothing. There are stories of children on hikes with their parents. Just 1 minute they're there and they're vanished. No trace.
Hmm.
There was one in particular I remember hearing about. There was a kid on a hike, and I don't remember where it was. I think it was in a mountainous area, forest, but it was a higher elevation in the mountains. So there was a kid up there. He couldn't have been, maybe, I think it was like 2 years old or 3. So they let him run around a little bit. They stopped. They were taking a break. And they were, the kid was just hanging around. They could see him pretty much the whole time. And I guess the parents turned their back for a minute or two. Turned around, he was gone. They found him up, up the mountain. Like it was almost 20 miles from the point, and it was only a few hours later.
Wild.
So how'd the kid get there? There's no way a 2-year-old could cover that much distance in that type of terrain that quickly.
No, it's not, but a minute's still a stupid amount of time to not be watching your kid too.
Yeah. Yeah. But, still.
But yeah, you figured in the woods, a child would be making, noise, whether it's the physical noise of their feet and hands against ground litter and against, tree limbs.
Unless
That damn Sasquatch.
And, they would be vocalizing. I mean, under normal circumstances, they'd be vocalizing something, fear. 2-year-old is going to know the word mama by that point. Like, so the fact that they heard nothing after, a couple hours is pretty obviously abnormal.
Unless a friggin' gray snatched him up. If a gray snatched him up in a little, time warp or a spaceship or whatever, just could be gone like that. Not enough time to make a noise.
He had nothing better to do, so he just put a kid on top of a mountain.
Hey, well, when they were done with him, they dropped him off.
Oh, we probed your butt, so here's Mount Everest. Enjoy.
Yeah, I don't think they probe children like that. Not 2-year-olds anyway.
It's true. Grays don't work for Disney.
They probably would have ate him.
As the dwarves in the Hobbit said of Bilbo, "Hey, won't even make a mouthful."
Well, maybe like I said a minute ago.
That damn Sasquatch.
Just cutting through time and space.
No, but he could have picked up and carried him though.
Could have, yeah. What examples do we have for the good people out there today?
I don't know. I'm gonna check it out right now though. Let me see. Aha. I found it.
Oh, lucky number 13. They did that on purpose.
All right, so adventure.howstuffworks.com. So 13 mysterious disappearances in national parks by Aaliyah Hoyt and Becky Streep. Are updated on October 27th, 2021.
Relatively recent. That's good to see.
Mm-hmm. So in the United States National Park System alone, there are more than 84 million acres or 35 million hectares. I don't know what a hectare is.
Hectare is usually the measurement they use for forest lands. Like
She's got huge tracts of land. So
usually you don't say, sorry to nerd out a bit, but normally when people talk about acreage, they shouldn't say like 5 acres of woods. They would say like 5 hectares of woodland or something. So that's what they're doing there.
Well, this is America. In America, we say acres.
Listen here, mister.
You don't like America, you can get out.
You're using that fancy gay French word hectare over here.
So, 35 million hectares of preserved woods, desert, mountains, and other wilderness. So it's no surprise that in the past 100 years, there have been a number of cases of hikers going missing. Many of those who vanished were young children and inexperienced hikers, but some were healthy and seasoned outdoors people. I'm going to say outdoorsman. I'm editing your thing. Outdoorsman.
We don't do that here.
Yeah, we don't do that gender neutral shit here.
Outdoors individuals.
Yeah. So, but is there more to these disappearances than just kids wandering off or hikers becoming disoriented? What could cause someone to seemingly vanish into thin air? There are 2 approaches people take to explaining these mysterious disappearances: earthly and supernatural. Most hiking experts would say that these missing hikers made common mistakes like taking on more than they could handle or failing to time their turn back to beat the sunset. However, some disappearances have become a focus for urban legend, online message boards, and nonfiction books. In fact, Missing 411 author and former police officer at Yosemite National Park, David Paulides
Paul Atreides from Dune.
Yeah. Thinks something more intriguing is afoot. The game is afoot. His books examine more than 1,100 cases of people who mysteriously vanished in United States national parks. There's a video here, but I don't know what that is. So, the National Park Service does not collect data on how many visitors disappear in the vast expanses of these parks.
Ooh,
Indeed,
let's see
most
what they
people
get.
turn up on their own accord a few days later. In 2020, Politis estimated that there had been over 1,600 unexplained disappearances in North America. Let's be honest. Although it although it might be fun to imagine monsters or something spookier, no proof for any supernatural disappearance has ever been provided. But there have definitely been some mysterious disappearances, both in the United States and abroad in formal federal government run national parks, as well as in related spaces like national forests, recreation areas, state parks, and more. Here are some of the most fascinating cases to date, starting in the early 20th century. Number 13, Bessie and Glenn Hyde, 1928. Some pretty landscape, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Grand
got
Canyon.
looks like Arizona or Utah or something.
The Grand Canyon.
Oh, that's Grand Canyon. So Arizona. Okay. Beautiful.
So, Bessie and Glenn Hyde were honeymooning in northern Arizona at the Grand Canyon when they vanished. They were traveling down the Colorado River by SCO in October 1928. So, if you don't know what a SCO is, that's a SCO.
Nice.
So, if that's what they were riding in the entire length of the Colorado River, I'm not surprised they vanished.
Yeah, I can tell you why they vanished.
Is that a ramp? Does that like lower down like an amphibious landing craft?
That's where what was the name of the landing craft at D-Day, the manufacturer?
I don't know the manufacturer, but didn't they call it like the ugly duck or something?
Yeah, that's where he got the idea with SCOs in the Colorado River.
Right?
It's like we will embark to Denver. We will make landfall in Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
I'm just pronouncing it like they did in the early 1920s. Like it wasn't San Antonio back then; it was San Antone.
San Antone. So yeah, October 1928. So they planned to boat through the Grand Canyon. Bessie would have been the first woman ever to do so successfully.
Would have been.
Glenn had run tough rivers before, but Bessie was a boating newbie. The couple ran across other boaters a few weeks before their disappearance, who said they got the feeling that Bessie wanted to turn back. But Glenn was pushing her on. If they completed the trip successfully, they could go on a paid lecture tour. So this trip was more than just fun. There was money at stake.
That's always a good
1928 was the Great Depression over at that point?
No, it hadn't even started yet. It started the next.
I thought that was in the 20s.
It started in 1929.
Oh. So it was actually starting to ramp up at this point then at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were still technically in the roaring 20s back then of that economic boom time.
All right. All right. So cut to several months later, the Hyde's boat was discovered that winter, seemingly undisturbed. It was upright and full of supplies, but the couple was gone. There are many theories about what happened to the Hydes. Did they disembark and try a too difficult side hike? Did they have an argument that turned violent? Or were they abducted? There are conflicting reports about what happened to the Hydes and more than one Bessie Hyde sighting in the years that followed.
Yeah, she was probably found with DB Cooper.
And Jimmy Hoffa.
They're all rowing a SCO down the Colorado River up to up to Canada. I don't know.
You know the SCO though? Thing looks like it's made out of like old pallets.
like I like the idea. That looks cool. Like if you're on a lake.
Got like an old like child's bed sheet up here for a sail. And what is this? Like, what is this long fucking piece of wood? That can't be an oar.
I mean, it must be maybe to help avoid rocks.
Oh yeah, it could be.
Push away from the rocks in the streams, the river. I mean,
It definitely
Yeah.
doesn't look seaworthy though.
well, they're not on the sea, so it's okay.
Yeah, we could always just swim to shore. It's all right. All right,
Never to be found again. Okay.
moving right along. Alfred Baleharts, 1938. Rocky Mountain National Park.
Had some Rocky Mountain oysters.
So, 4-year-old Alfred Baleharts was the first recorded drowning in Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park. Though whether Baleharts actually drowned is controversial. He was camping in the park with his family over the July 4th weekend when he disappeared near the Roaring and Fall rivers. Baleharts had gone with his dad to bathe in the river, and from there he decided to join two family friends at a spot about 500 feet upstream from where he and his father entered the river. When everyone returned to camp, they realized Baleharts was missing. A search began immediately, expanding to more than 100 civilian Conservation Corps members within 45 minutes. But there was barely any sign of Baleharts anywhere. A day after he disappeared, a couple hiking about 6 miles away from Balehart's campsite reported seeing a boy who looked like Alfred sitting in an area called the Devil's Nest. By the time authorities arrived, though, the boy was gone. The search went on for 10 days and included 150 men plus bloodhounds, though the size of the search party had dwindled to a dozen by the end of the 8th day. Park rangers chalked his disappearance up to drowning. Interesting. How did he drown if someone found him said they saw him 10 days later sitting somewhere in a place called Devil's Nest? Friggin' insane. Catherine Van Alst, 1946. The Arkansas Wilderness at Devil's Den State Park. Swallowed up by Catherine Van Alst. Another child here. 8-year-old Catherine Van Alst disappeared from Devil's Den State Park near Arkansas's Ozark National Forest, where she and her family were camping.
Probably a skinwalker in the Ozarks.
Yeah. Van Alst apparently was playing with her brothers when she wandered off and got lost and couldn't find her way back. What makes her disappearance remarkable is that when she was found after 6 days wandering the woods, she was eerily calm. University of Arkansas's student Porter Chadwick was part of the search party that found Van Alst. He told the Pittsburgh Press that when he found her, she walked stoically out of a cave and just said, "Here I am." Maybe she is the skinwalker. She had survived on berries and spent nights sleeping in caves. Many other hikers have gotten lost in that part of the Ozarks and not been as lucky as Van Alst. She's an 8-year-old girl. 8 days in the Ozarks by herself. Oh, 6 days. 6 days. Still, that's a long fucking time for an 8-year-old girl to be by herself in the woods.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know, maybe some people find that inner strength no matter what age they are, and some people just absolutely lose it. I don't know. I mean,
Dude, check out this unibrow. That's a hardcore unibrow, bro.
Oh yeah, World War II was over. It was time to let his hair down and let the brow grow again. I don't know.
Look at that nose, dude. That guy's got a beak on him.
Yeah, we was right on the long trail.
Well, National Guard members and even Boy Scouts search for Paula Weldon in 1947. It says
Probably
47. So this says 46.
They probably hit that guy Sniffer Trail.
So there's an area in Green Mountain National Forest near Glastonbury Mountain at Vermont's Long Trail that believers in the paranormal call Bennington Triangle.
Oh, so like a Bermuda Triangle, but the
Or
Bennington.
yeah, there's one in another one in New England called the Bridgewater Triangle.
Okay,
I've never heard of the Bennington Triangle though.
I'll have to be careful when I visit family there then, because
Hey, we got 2 future episodes right there. Bennington and Bridgewater. Did you know there's another one around the Great Lakes too? Ships go missing out. I think it's on Lake Michigan.
Was
Just like
that
the Bermuda Triangle, ships just vanish.
was that what happened to the Edmund Fitzgerald?
I think so, if I remember correctly.
I mean, granted, they know where the wreckage is, but
So, Bennington Triangle. So the area got this name because of a handful of mysterious disappearances which occurred between 1945 and 1950. Although many more have been recorded over the years, paranormal author Joseph A. Citro coined the term because of the supposedly supernatural circumstances surrounding these vanishings. Source: The Vermonter. Paula, that's so original. The Vermonter. Paula Weldon was the second person to go missing in that area of Green Mountain National Forest during this period. 18-year-old Weldon was a college student who set out on the Long Trail in December 1946. She was dressed for walking and not a long hike, wearing jeans, a coat, and sneakers. Her attire implied that she planned on returning before dark. So, when temperatures were supposed to dip below freezing, Weldon told her roommate that she was taking a long walk and she never returned. You know what? Maybe she was depressed. Maybe she committed suicide.
yeah, I mean, people do that.
I'm taking a long walk. Don't look for me. I'm taking a long walk. So several people spotted her as she hitchhiked her way to the trail and walked to the trailhead. When Weldon didn't come back by dark, her roommate let the school know, and the search began. Classes were suspended so students could help with the search. Imagine how that would fly these days. You wouldn't get no students out there searching for shit. Fucking lazy. The process was disorganized at first until Weldon's father called in favors from police in 2 surrounding states. Unfortunately, the search didn't pan out, and frustrated family and friends had their own theories about what happened to her. Did Weldon run off with a boyfriend? Was she abducted? Did she commit suicide? Or did she die of exposure because of her inappropriate attire? No one has discovered her body, so her disappearance remains a mystery. There's a rumor that this area of the Long Trail is home to a creature called the Bennington Monster. Could this Sasquatch-like animal have something to do with the disappearance? Maybe she tried to put out his fire.
Try to take his Jack's beef links.
Right. So one positive outcome of the case was that the lack of organization in the search for Paulo Weldon led to the creation of the Vermont State Police, which is responsible for all wilderness search and rescue missions in the state.
Wild. I didn't know they were connected with that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Granted, when I've been in Vermont, I've never been over to the Bennington area, so I can't speak to that. But
Well, the fact that she told her roommate that she was going for a long walk. She didn't say where. She didn't say when she'd be back.
yeah, that's kind of
So,
unusual language.
yeah, so that, I don't know. Sounds to me like suicide. Sounds to me she went found somewhere to hide and fucking offed herself.
Yeah, because the Green Mountains are expansive. They're expansive. My father's house kind of overlooks the Green Mountains. I mean, you can get lost in there and never be found again.
Yeah.
That
Well,
one,
I mean, whatever. I mean, even if something happened, you know, the animals would have fucking took care of her before, you know,
yeah, that's
before
the thing.
anybody found her.
Or she died. You know, she had an accident, and
I mean, that
yeah,
place is loaded with black bear, cougar,
catamounts. Yeah,
yeah, and like all kinds of different scavengers too. You know, coyotes. I mean, she would have been torn apart and consumed long before anybody found her.
goblins, orcs, urukai. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That damn Sasquatch.
All right, number 9. Larry Jeffrey, 1966.
All right, Larry.
Mount Charleston, Las Vegas, Nevada. Doesn't look like Las Vegas, does it?
I mean, unless it's like Reno, the mountains around Reno, it snows there.
All right. So, 6-year-old Larry Jeffrey disappeared near the peak of 12,000 foot Mount Charleston in Humboldt Toyabe National Forest, just a short drive from Las Vegas. The search began immediately after the boy wandered away from his brothers, and within days the National Guard and a team of bloodhounds had joined the search. In a TV interview, David Paulides told reporter George Knapp that there were no predators afoot that day. How the fuck do they know there were no predators up there?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird statement.
I mean, I don't know if there's bear up there, but there's definitely cougar. So
It's like, did the Cougars check in with them for their morning shift? It's like, hey, I'm going to the strip later.
yeah, and if you don't know who George Knapp is, he was he did a lot of work on documentary around the Skinwalker Ranch, and he also he also fills in for George Norrie sometimes on the Coast to Coast AM show. The AM talk radio, Coast to Coast AM.
Wow. Okay.
So all right, so supposedly there were no predators afoot. He doesn't know that.
Impossible for him
There's
to verify.
literally coyotes everywhere, all over North America, in every square mile of this country and Canada and Mexico. So, yep. And there's also cougars. The entire fucking North America is filled with cougars. They're everywhere. So, to say there's no predators is just
that's
not true at all.
unless that guy's like a wildlife biologist who is specifically assigned to that national forest. I don't see how he could make that statement.
Yeah. So, and since the area they were in was pretty secluded, it's easy to rule out an abduction by car. This boy just walked into oblivion. Or he was carried off by a cougar.
I mean, small boy like that wouldn't be too hard for it to consume him.
Yeah, well, a 6-year-old would easily be killed and carried off by a mountain lion.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Wouldn't take much, and the mountain lion can easily carry a 40 to 60 pound kid.
Carries its own cubs, so.
Yeah. So when Jeffrey disappeared, he was wearing light clothing, and authorities were doubtful that he could survive the cold temperatures at night. Searchers found and lost the trail a few times, and they discovered evidence that the boy had been eating insects and foraged berries along the way. Overall, around 1,000 people searched for 16 days but never found him. So they followed the trail for some time, it sounds like. The boy was walking randomly in a direction, eating berries and insects.
Yeah, then it obviously went cold.
I wonder what snatched him up.
Like, that's the thing. I mean, there must have been, like, it'd be nice to know if they found any
Well, he can't.
footprints.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
where his,
he can't just have vanished like a fart in the wind.
I don't think there's like a Las Vegas time portal, is there?
I don't think so. Was this in the 60s? Yeah, 66. All right, here we go. Number 8. Dennis Martin, 1969. North Carolina. Smoky Mountains.
Ah, yep.
Descended from Jim Bridger. Me got a little engine in me.
He has a debt. Veil of debts. Yeah.
Anybody joining my command owed me a debit. Now on me 100, and that's the scalps. And I want my scalps.
And that's where Monsieur Bridger was at. This area of the world.
So 6-year-old Dennis Martin was on a camping trip near.
Another 6-year-old.
Yeah, they're kids though. That's, but it makes sense if there's predators in the area. A kid would be an easy target. If he wanders off by himself and there happens to be a cougar or a bear watching, I mean, they'd snatch him up in a heartbeat. Easy.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it makes you wonder if they have like pets at their homes. I mean, I know it was the 60s, but more people started having pets after World War II. So it makes you wonder if this kid wasn't comfortable with animals and just thought, oh, that's like a big doggy,
Yeah, who knows? But anyways.
Like, my children know that there are animals that can kill them. Like, they know they know what kill is. I don't like them using it, but they know that there are animals that can kill them. They also know what heaven and hell is. They know the word hell, so I'm not too afraid to mention kill.
Yeah. So 6-year-old Dennis Martin camping trip near the Tennessee-North Carolina state line with his family in the summer of 1969. It was an annual Father's Day tradition. All of the men in the Martin family headed to Smoky Mountain National Park to camp and hike. Dennis and his brothers had planned a prank on the adults. They were going to hide separately in the bush and jump out on different sides of the campsite to scare them. It was a typical joke, and that should have ended with some startled shouts and then a lot of laughter. The laughter ended quickly, though, when they realized that Dennis was missing. Family, park rangers, and other hikers spread out to search for Dennis almost immediately, but he was nowhere to be found. That evening, there was heavy rainfall, which is bad news when you're trying to track a missing little boy.
Yep.
The search for Martin became the largest in National Park Service history. One of the people searching was Park Ranger Dwight McCarter, who had successfully tracked down hundreds of missing persons, including young children. McCarter was a seasoned tracker, and he was struck by the complete lack of any sort of tracks. Dennis seemed to have disappeared completely, leaving no trace at all. His
Well,
disappearance is still a mystery.
the heavy rain would have washed away the proof.
True. So, I mean, even after the rain, it would be hard for dogs to track him.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, so there could have been if he was carried off by an animal. And I mean, it doesn't say how far they spread around along like the bush and at the trail.
Well, they
If
say
that
it was the largest, basically manhunt in
No, I'm
National Park
saying how
history.
far the children spread out in the bush for their surprise attack,
Oh,
their
yeah.
ambush. Like if it was several feet or a few inches, like because
Yeah, it doesn't say.
you would figure that even if the kid was attacked, they would have heard a scream, for even a few moments before his neck was snapped.
Dude, when I was a kid, me, my brothers, my friends, we ran around in the woods at night all the time. At night, in the
Yep,
dark,
no, we did
and
that in
we
we
came
did
out
that.
just fine.
Yeah, my nephew and his friends did that all the time at night in Gorham. It was and it was pretty great. These kids weren't sitting on their asses playing video games all day. They were having fun outside, and yeah, no one ever got lost.
Yep,
Granted, it wasn't a national park, but still.
all-terrain kids.
ATK.
Yeah. So, one possible lead that searchers didn't follow was a report from another family the evening that the boy went missing. The Key family allegedly heard a scream and then saw a bear man with something slung over his shoulder.
That damn Sasquatch.
A bear man.
A bear.
So something slung over his shoulder that looked like it could be a small child. We'll never know whether this was related to Martin's disappearance, but one thing did come out of it: the realization that having so many volunteers might have meant some vital clues got trampled on. Nowadays, these searches involve less people, but they have more training.
That's a better option for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like
Yep.
investigating a forensics crime scene. The less people contaminate the crime scene, the better.
I mean, it's kind of a sad thing to think that good Samaritans might actually be hurting the cause.
Yeah.
So if you're a good Samaritan, stay in your lane because you might be ruining the situation.
Yeah, you're making it worse. Go home.
Go home, good Samaritan. You're drunk on love.
But if you do happen to see a Sasquatch snatching up a little kid, try to intervene.
If you do see a bear man stealing children, say something.
A bear man. It was man, bear, pig. I'm super cereal. All right, anyway. Number 7, Douglas Legg, 1971. Douglas Legg and some of his family were heading out for a hike in the Adirondack Forest Preserves, Santanoni Preserve.
Yeah.
When his uncle spotted poison ivy and told Legg to put on long pants to protect himself. The family's cabin was a short, straight shot from where they were, but 8-year-old Legg never returned. Wait a minute. Told him to put on pants, long pants, to protect himself.
Yeah, so he's probably
And he
wearing
never
shorts.
returned. So when he stopped to put his pants on, his fucking parents just walked away.
What? Oh. All right. So
An 8-year-old.
it sounds like maybe they were on the trail, and that's when they spotted poison ivy. It's like, hey boy, go put some pants on, long pants, and that was it.
Oh, so they sent him back to the house.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume they spotted it along the trail, maybe at the trailhead or along the walk, and kind of stopped it from there.
Or this is a cover story.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
I mean, told by the adults in the area to cover up the fact that they murdered an 8-year-old boy.
Yeah, I mean, people do horrible things, so why not?
Maybe the 8-year-old was way too mouthy.
Well, he was a New Yorker, and by looking at some of the name, probably a WAP. So
Leg?
his mother was probably like Santorini Alfredo sauce. I don't know.
Yeah. So, unlike a lot of the kids who have gone missing in the national parks, Leg was very familiar with these woods. His family owned the cabin where they were staying and described Leg as a mini woodsman because they all hiked there together so often. Leg's disappearance sparked one of the southern Adirondacks' largest search and rescue missions with more than 600 people searching the woods. But like Martin, Leg left no trail. Unlike in the Martin case, though, rescuers used dogs in their search. Some accounts describe dogs following Leg's scent over a 30-mile trail through difficult terrain. How could a young child have traveled alone for such a distance? Some searchers reported seeing bear-like tracks near the site. While black bears do drag their prey to cover, dragging someone 30 miles over difficult terrain seems unusual.
Yeah,
Yeah, bears.
beats Battlestar Galactica.
Well, a bear is perfectly capable of dragging a child that distance, an 8-year-old.
Yeah,
But would they? Would they travel 30 miles with their meal before they sit down to eat?
um,
I don't think so.
I'm a bear psychologist.
And usually the cubs are not far away if there are cubs. So,
So strange. Yeah, I don't know. That one might be a little, unless like you were saying is true. Maybe it could be a cover story.
yeah. But, if a bear dragged the kid away, there'd be evidence. There'd be ripped clothing, pieces of
But
clothing, blood. There would be evidence around to find.
and yeah, therein being the point, you would think, okay, some investigator might obviously finger them as primary suspects. So you think they would dig around the cabin, check for freshly buried, body or I don't know.
Yeah. So the family became desperate and began suspecting each other and even their friends of abducting Leg. But the police were certain that the mini woodsman had simply gotten lost. He was never found.
Jeez, hello.
John Devine, 1997. According to Peninsula Daily News, that's some beautiful country up there, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
All right. According to Peninsula Daily News, Olympic National Park in northern Washington state has a feature that's not as majestic as its mountain views. At least 4 hikers have mysteriously disappeared from the area in the past 25 years, one of whom was 73-year-old John Devine. Source Seabury. In 1997, Devine planned to hike into the park from Mount Baldy. The trail is a tough 24 miles. He's 73 years old. I mean, Jesus Christ, was he by himself?
Probably. The guy probably, biked every day before biking was cool.
And though Devine was elderly, he was also an experienced long-distance hiker. Devine was camping with his friend Greg Balzer.
Also known as balls to the wall.
Right?
You are gay.
Also known as teabag.
So they split up on the day that Devine went missing. Balzer went off to hunt while Devine took off on a day hike. So Devine never returned. The fruitless search for Devine lasted a full week until a rescue helicopter crash killed 3 people and injured 5 others. By that time, weather conditions had deteriorated, making the chances of finding Devine slim. Friends and family said that Devine wouldn't want to put people in danger on his behalf, and the search was called off.
Well, too late for that.
The search helicopter's crash is as mysterious as Devine's disappearance. Before takeoff, the pilot used a hand signal indicating that he was going to wait 5 minutes for conditions to improve before attempting it. A moment later, the helicopter departed vertically without warning and crashed into the side of the mountain. So what? The throttle on the helicopter just ran away with it?
Or something didn't want him being found. I don't know. But like, is the 73-year-old man going to be that important to some mysterious entity?
Could be. Maybe the aliens are studying all of the, the evolution of the human body as we age. I don't know.
Could be. Could be. Well, I mean, it sounds like, like he started out doing the right thing, like traveling with someone, but it's that splitting up where people make the mistake.
Interesting.
And you're definitely so much more vulnerable when you go by yourself.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been hiking alone.
No, it's insane.
I mean, if a fucking grizzly bear comes out of the fucking woods, I mean, you're going to want a couple of people with you.
Everybody armed with a little bear mace.
You just douse that motherfucker. All right,
Yeah.
so number 5, David Gonzalez, 2004. Oh, San Bernardino National Forest. That's fucking right there. I can see it out my window.
I can see it from my house.
Yep. At 8 a.m. on a July day in 2004, David Gonzalez asked his mother if he could have the car keys. There was a box of cookies in the car, and the 9-year-old wanted a treat. The car was only 50 yards away, and his mother watched him as he walked to the parking lot near their Big Bear Lake campsite in Northern California's San Bernardino National Forest. That's not Northern California.
No, that's Southern California. That's 90 miles east of Los Angeles.
I can see Big Bear
From my house.
from my house.
Oh, aren't you just in a geographical oddity? You can
And
see
I'm
everything.
damn fucking close to the Mexican border. I'm like, what, an hour and a half away?
I can see Russia from my house.
So, yeah, we're in Southern California. Big Bear is in Southern California, not North. So she turned her back for a second, and when she looked around again, Gonzalez was gone. His mother reported that she heard no sound at all when her back was turned, though she did see a beige truck speeding out of the campground the time that her son went missing.
All right, so someone kidnapped her kid.
Since there were no signs of abduction, authorities did not pursue that lead. The cookies that Gonzalez went to get were still in his family's locked van, so he never made it to the car. Rescue teams in San Bernardino County scoured the woods for Gonzalez. They found no signs of struggle or of the boy. The search went on for 9 days, but rescuers never found him alive. Almost a year later, hikers stumbled upon the boy's remains about a mile from his family's campsite. Authorities initially chalked this up to a mountain lion attack. But how could a mountain lion have silently dragged a boy a 9-year-old boy a mile without leaving any blood or signs of struggle.
Again, no scream, no audible sound, like stop, help me, whatever.
Well, I mean, how do mountain lions kill their prey?
Well, they snap the necks, right?
Yep.
Well,
If,
still.
if it got the drop on the kid, it bit down hard enough on the neck, snapped the spine, he'd have killed him before he had a chance to scream.
Yeah, I
But
guess so.
But there'd be blood.
Well, and you'd hear probably rustling, as it's shaking his, corpse.
So the autopsy determined that any marks made to the child's remains were done by scavenging animals.
Oh, so there weren't.
Apparently the neck wasn't broken because they would have seen that.
And this is weird. This is the only time that we have remains being found.
So far, anyway.
I mean, yeah, so far from what we read.
I don't know.
I mean, again, this is all ends up.
I get a feeling that beige vehicle
had something to do with it.
Yeah, they probably abducted him, did some crazy weird shit to him, and killed him and dumped his body up there.
This stuff happens all the time. It's terrifying.
Yep. Horrible. So, what kind of a name is this?
That looks Indian, like from India. Like, see the
Rob Deep Sprawn,
Yeah.
2013. I can't pronounce that name, so
Pradeep.
Pradeep Sran was a 25-year-old Canadian Army reservist who disappeared from Australia's, I can't pronounce that either, Kosciuszko National Park.
Oh, weird. That's a Polish name.
Located in the southeastern state of New South Wales. Sran was studying abroad in Australia in May 2013 when he decided to take a 1,700-mile road trip from the Gold Coast to Melbourne. Sran rented a van, drove to the park's Charlotte Pass in the Snowy Mountains, and no one has seen him since.
Why do you rent a van if you're going by yourself?
I don't know. So the search for him began when the rental company discovered that the van wasn't returned. Sran hadn't told anyone what route or side hikes he was planning, and the search may have started days or even weeks after he went missing. So, since it was the rental company that first reported the disappearance, searchers figured out his hike plans by looking at the search history on a laptop they recovered from his van. So Sran's family hired private searchers after Australian authorities called off their search after only 2 weeks. Australia is a big fucking place. How do you call off your search after only 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not as vast as America, but it is, I think, like 2,000 kilometers across.
Well, but also Australia doesn't have any big land predators. I mean, do they? They don't. There's no big cats in Australia.
Emus.
I don't think there's any bear in Australia.
No, there's
dingoes. You got dingoes. Wild dogs. There's what else do they have there? Dingoes and or crocodiles.
I mean, they're loaded with poison and snakes. It's like the poison snake capital of the world. But
true, snakes and spiders.
Ugh.
Everything there's poisonous, except for dingoes.
I'm surprised the dingoes aren't.
So anyway, the investigators used tower data from Sran's phone and a trained dog to track his trail to a treacherous area called the Western Fall Wilderness. Just one day before his van was due back to the rental agency, Schron embarked on a difficult and time-consuming hike in snowy weather. Why would a trained military reservist make a choice like that? Despite a private search that went on for over a year, Schron's his body was never recovered. Yeah, dingoes probably tore it up.
I mean, I think
Dismembered it.
dingoes probably go in packs, and
Oh yeah, they dismembered it.
yeah.
They carried it off in multiple different areas and ate it. I mean, there'd be bones, but you wouldn't find a complete skeleton. Anyways, number 3, Jacob Gray, 2017. Oh, here we are again in, is this Washington Olympic National Park, if I remember correctly?
Of course.
So, the mystery of what exactly happened to 22-year-old Jacob Gray will likely never be solved. The athletic young man rode his mountain bike into a rainstorm in Olympic National Park in Washington, April 2017, and was never seen alive again. His bike and gear were found on the side of the trail, but Gray was nowhere to be found. This kicked off a search largely championed by his father, Randy, who actually sold his house and closed his contracting business so that he could fully devote his time to searching for his son.
Jeez, Lou.
Randy spent months doing that, all the while theorizing about what could have happened to his child. He considered hypothermia, accidental drowning, an accident, and so on. He also worried that burgeoning mental health issues had gotten the best of him. In August of the same year, he got the phone call that a group of researchers had found Jacob's remains and supplies higher on the mountain than anyone expected. The likely cause of death was hypothermia. But if they say he found his remains and supplies higher, why does he say back here that they found the bike and supplies on the side of the trail? His bike and gear were found on the side of the trail. And then down here it says they found his remains and supplies higher on the mountain.
Oh, okay, so
Well, I mean, wouldn't he have his supplies stashed away inside of his gear?
well, it sounds like maybe he left his his helmet and with his bike, like his riding gear.
So it
And
sounds
then,
like he got off his bike, went up
yep.
the mountain hiking, got up and walked up the mountain.
But,
Either got lost or whatever, got stuck somehow
wait, but
and froze.
did he bring a bike with him as well with the van?
No, that was a different case.
Oh, that's right.
The
Sorry.
van was in Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy, he was mountain biking.
All right, yeah. So he left his bike and his helmet. He set it aside, and maybe he continued on foot for a little bit. Obviously, his backpack had his medical and food supplies. What they mean by supplies, then?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think this one's cut and dry, kind of. If they found his body, they guess hypothermia. He probably got up, went hiking up left his bike. You can't ride your bike everywhere. So he got up, walked up there, froze to death. Got lost.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy. So far, we've only had one story where a body's been recovered.
2. This is the second one. They
Yeah.
found the kid. I don't remember which one, but they found one of them.
Well, what I meant was the first adult that we've heard about.
Oh, yeah. All right, so Cian McLaughlin, or Cian McLaughlin, 2021. So, 27-year-old Irishman visiting Grand
Teton.
Teton National Park in Wyoming has been missing since June 2021. The last known sighting of Dublin native Kean McLaughlin pinpoints him heading in the direction of Taggart Lake. This is located on an 8-mile trail that is very difficult in nature. When he didn't show up to work, he was reported missing. He held dual U.S. and Irish citizenship. His car was found nearby and kicked off a search that formally ended 2 weeks later. 45 helicopter searches and other high-tech tools have yet to reveal any information about his whereabouts. His family and U.S. National Park Service have since put out a poster with a photo and details, as well as the hashtag #FindKean to keep him top of mind for visitors to the area. The disappearance is extra puzzling as his uncle described that particular trailhead as his favorite. Another hiker reported seeing McLaughlin without a backpack, so it appeared that he had just gone out for a walk. If you go into the wilderness, at least have minimal supplies with you.
Minimal supplies and bring someone
Have
with
something.
you. Like, pick a hiking weekend where your buddy can be there with you.
There seems to be a common theme here. These people are spotted without gear.
Without gear and by themselves.
Yeah, or proper clothing. There's another one from 2021, Gabby Petito.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's one we all recognize.
Oh yeah, didn't they find her body though?
Let's find out.
And then they arrested her boyfriend, didn't they?
Oh, that's right. The boyfriend, the weird van boyfriend, whatever crazy stuff was going on about him. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
so-
about the body though.
Yeah, her body was found by authorities in Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. She went missing while on a cross-country trip with her boyfriend. Yeah, they arrested her boyfriend, I believe.
Yep, they sure did.
So the disappearance of Gabby Petito made international headlines when her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, returned from their road trip all by himself. The couple, who posted heavily about their travels on social media, had an ambitious schedule of coast-to-coast national park visits. Although several fights between the pair were noticed by others, including the police, along the way, Petito's family says that their last contact with the 22-year-old was at the end of August 2021. Laundrie arrived back at home September 1st without Petito and refused to speak with police or her family. Her family reported her missing September 11th after a lengthy lack of contact. In fact, they don't believe the last text they received from Petito was actually from her. Sadly, on September 19th, Petito's remains were found in Bridger Teton National Forest in Wyoming. The cause of death was determined to be strangulation. Laundrie disappeared on September 17th, and on October 20th, his skeletal remains were found inside the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota, Florida. As of press time, his cause of death is still unknown.
Wait, but someone was arrested.
Somebody killed him. Vigilante justice right there.
I thought a boyfriend was arrested though.
I thought so too, but apparently not.
I could swear someone was arrested for this. Hold on. Or obviously it's possible that I'm combining cases, but
Well, it says the boyfriend disappeared on September 17th. They found his body October 20th. That's not enough time for his body to decompose completely to a skeleton, is it? I mean, left to natural processes,
Yeah,
it's only a
sunblade.
couple of weeks. Well, a little over a month.
Well, okay, yeah, no. So a federal arrest warrant was issued for the boyfriend, FBI says, back in September 2021. Okay, let me see. Let me type in the word dead.
So they found his corpse. They arrested his corpse.
Well, I mean, hold on. Gabby Petito, boyfriend of blogger responsible for him. So, okay, it says he died of a gunshot wound.
Well, I mean, it's like we read before. This was updated in
Yeah, so
October
that
27th, 2021.
yeah, and that gunshot wound article was from November 2021.
Yeah, so this isn't totally up to date information on that case because
Crazy.
the gunshot wound information didn't come out until after this was updated. So
I mean, overall, the stories we've heard, maybe there's a few that could be.
well, yeah, there's a few that are definitely mysterious, but most of them are, I mean, in my opinion, most of these are due to um, negligence and lack of preparation.
And in the case of the children, I mean, I think it's one of two
Negligence, most of
possible
them.
options. One could be obviously an animal surprising the children, pouncing on them. And two, it's possible the kids were murdered by hateful adults.
True. But
Like, you can't
I mean,
discount that. People, yeah.
I don't know. I just think that in these cases, I think most of these are due to um, lack of, as far as the children go, negligence. The parents weren't paying attention. Kid wandered off, got
Yeah.
lost, and whatever happened happened.
Because like everybody always says, "Oh, I just looked away for a minute." That's like it's almost a figure of speech at this point.
Yeah.
Like everybody just looks away for a minute.
But I mean, aside from the last case we read, the common theme for most of the adult cases of missing persons seems to be lack of preparedness, except for the first one. The first one we read about the boat, those two vanished.
Yeah.
Um, but that could have been lack of preparedness as well because they could have got off, went for a hike. They brought no supplies with them because all their supplies were in the boat. So they just got lost, or they, something happened on the hike. They weren't prepared and they never made it back to the boat. And I think that seems to be the common theme with most of the adult cases on here. One of them, they said the guy was spotted by other hikers and he had no gear. He was just wearing his clothes. He had no pack. He had nothing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there was another one, the 73-year-old, same thing. And yeah, it seems to be lack of preparedness and lack of a party. I mean, most of them wander off on their own.
Yeah, I mean, that's like prepping 101 or hiking even 101. And maybe they didn't get the lesson or the history book on that, but obviously they weren't trained.
Yeah, I mean, you're wandering off in untamed wilderness by yourself with no gear, no weapons. I mean, what anything could happen.
Yep.
So,
That damn Sasquatch.
Yeah.
oh, we forgot about the man bear though. That got that one kid. Remember the man bear
The
pig?
man bear, yeah.
Man bear pig. He's real, fellas. Al Gore wasn't lying.
Well,
He was super serial.
Told the truth. I believe
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
nope. Lost your video, Ben. Audio's breaking up too. Can you hear me? Hello. Well, it's about time to wrap this up anyways. Yeah, try to do this in the beginning, but I forgot again, so we'll do this now at the end. Ben, you forgot to remind me. So we're on all the major podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Audible, and Music, Podbean, all that shit. We're on YouTube, Supernatural Beer Bros. Our email is supernaturalbeerbros@gmail.com, or on Instagram at SBBpod. If you feel like it, you can hit us up with your bitches, gripes, complaints, suggestions, or compliments. I'm open to all of it. I mean, at this point, if you leave a comment, I'll probably read it on, during the show, next show.
Please.
Yep. Please give me some interaction. I need validation. So anyway, this has been the Supernatural Beer Bros podcast, and we are signing out.